Welcome back to Action Figure Obsession. It's me, your old pal, Avian Unloaded. Hashtag old pal, Avian Unloaded. It's a very early Sunday morning as I'm recording this. This is the time change edition. I got up and saw that it was 3 a.m. and time for my painkillers. And thought to myself, well, 3 a.m., I got some good sleep. Then I remembered that the time changed, At 2 o'clock, it became 3 a.m., so really my body got up at 2 a.m., so I didn't really get that hour. But, I worked overnights for many years, like almost 15 years. I'm pretty sure that screwed up my circadian rhythm forever. But I did look forward to the springtime change back then, because at 2 o'clock it became 3 o'clock, and I there was an hour I didn't have to work. I can't remember if it was an hour I got paid for, didn't get paid for, or got paid for. The business I was in, they tried to screw you as much as they could, so probably didn't get paid for it, but that's neither here nor there. Which would be a good title for this video, because these are, my favorite Captain Americas I have in my display, brought to you by. But I love these guys too. These are doubles, mostly doubles. I mean, I don't have a double of this guy, and I don't have a double of this guy, although I wish I did, the wolf cap. But, over the last few years, I've started to sort of... And Captain America was one of my earliest favorite Marvel superheroes. I started reading Avengers pretty young during the Steve Englehart era, in the mid to late, I don't know, well, early to mid 70s, I guess, but I didn't really understand it. But I did like Captain America. I loved the dynamic between Captain America and Iron Man, most of all. That sort of yin and yang, push and pull. I mean, that was almost always there in the comics in one way or another. It certainly was magnified by the movies, but it was a big part of the appeal for me. There was an Avengers annual, I think it was number 6. It had this amazing Jack Kirby cover where all hell is breaking loose, and they're fighting Nuclear, the Nuclear Man, and the inside of it, I mean, it's like a 64-page story, I think. It's got many chapters. It has, I think, the first hints of the return of Wonder Man, I think, might be in that annual, or the start of him coming back to life after having only been an Avenger for one issue and then dying at the end in the first, handful of issues of Avengers. That Avengers annual, and again, I think it might not be an annual, might be a giant size X-Men, but I think it was in Avengers annual, and I think it was number 6. It's got like primarily a blue cover, beautiful Kirby cover. George Perez drew the insides of it. There's a scene where Captain America and Iron Man are in the Avengers Quinjet, and they fly to Washington, D.C., where Nuclear is causing havoc, and they have kind of an argument on the way there. And I mean, it's just the quintessential Steve and Tony scene, I just have always dug their relationship and how they, they're friends, but they don't always trust each other. And obviously, their motives are not always simpatico. But you know what? The important thing is, for the purposes of this discussion and for the purposes of watching Avengers Civil War, or in almost any context, I am always Team Steve and not Team Tony. And I love Iron Man, don't get me wrong. I've got a whole bunch of Iron Man figures too. But I've probably done a lot more videos about Captain America than I have Iron Man. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and Iron Man is great. Love him. Loved Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Not so sure about him as Dr. Doom, but, maybe they'll find some way to make me interested in those movies again and in those characters on film again. But after Avengers Endgame, I walked out of the theater and I said to my wife, that was fantastic, but I think I'm kind of done. So we'll see if they can recapture the magic. It seems unlikely, especially given all the changes in the world since then, and the changes in the world since, last week. So, but speaking of Avengers Endgame, I just want to talk about some of these Steve Rogers figures in my collection, because these are kind of ones that I haven't talked about for one reason or another. They're sort of, compared to the 20 years and the 80 years and Secret Wars and even Wolf Cap, compared to Wolf Cap, I'm really not that interested in most of these figures. But they do all have a reason for being here. Even if that reason largely, if I take this one away, you may notice that every single one is the Commander Rogers figure from, I think, 2023, 2022, whenever that came out. It does not have the Commander Rogers head, but this is my primary comic book Commander Rogers from his time as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it is the body, the stock body. It has the shoulder harness, which is why I bought a whole bunch of extras of these at Ollie's just for the shoulder harness when they were on clearance for $10. And the shield is a repainted Stan Lee shield from the Stan Lee figure. Stan Lee should not have a shield with his autograph on it. I will die on that hill. Stan Lee accomplished a lot of things in his career, and that's all I'll say about that. But he had nothing to do with the creation of Captain America, and that shield being included in his action figure pack-in in his action figure. I don't mind Stan Lee having an action figure. I have one right over here. Say hi to the folks, Stan. There he is, right next to Rom. I couldn't hate him if I wouldn't put him next to Rom if I hated him. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, so I repainted that shield because I wanted a sort of prototype shield, and the prototype shield sort of idea came to me from this actual shield, which came with the MCU Commander Rogers / Stealth Captain America figure, which I looked for before I started recording, because I know I have it, but I have this box with some MCU figures that I'm really not that interested in, and that body that Stealth Captain America, the MCU one, was on was so janky and outdated. I think it's from like 2013 or 2014. But this shield, this is from the reissue. The shield itself is from the reissue. That's the Stealth Iron Man MCU shield, and that was in that evergreen Captain America that people mistake for peg warmers at Target and Walmart. They did the Stealth Captain America in that collection, and I bought it just for the shield because I knew what I wanted to do with it. But at the end of the day, I gotta fix his feet a little. He needs to stand up a little straighter. Come on, Steve. At the end of the day, of all of these figures, the most important one, and the one that I would grab if I could only grab one on my way out the door forever, is this one. So is the Commander Rogers. It's the comic Commander Rogers with the body. Oh, I gave him a sidearm. I think that's from a Snake Eyes, or maybe Sergeant Stalker from a G.I. Joe Classified series. Okay, so it's not stock, but it is the body. It's the only one that I care enough about to leave the shoulder straps on him, and I'll explain that in a minute, I think. I probably say that a lot and then don't, but I like having this one in my my comic display. So he's in my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Shelf with the 3-pack Nick Fury, my Kit Bash Dum Dum Dugan on the black suited Happy Hogan body, Nick Fury Senior and Junior, Sharon Carter, the whole. I did a video about my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. display. Go back into the archives and take a look at that, and you'll see. But I don't think I brought this one out when I did that. Maybe I did, but I don't think I did. And it's the important thing is it's not that terrible Commander Rogers head that they put on the body. Do I have one of those sitting right here? Sometimes I have them close to hand. I thought I did. I don't see one. Okay, good. I must have put it away. But this is the good, unmasked Steve Rogers head, the best one that they've done recently, by Paul Harding. It's the one that came with the 20 years of Marvel Legends Captain America back in 2022. That was the unmasked alternate head, and I have two of them because I have two of those in my collection. The 2022 20 years of Marvel Legends Captain America, and it's a little gappy in the back there, but don't do that. Just do that, and I think he looks pretty good. And if you've ever read those comics with him as Commander Rogers, while somebody else was running around as Captain America, I forget if it was Bucky or Sam Wilson, or maybe both. Uh, Captain America has been around for almost 100 years. He gets a little confusing. Um, so yeah, this is my primary, what I think of as my primary Commander Rogers figure in my Marvel Legends collection and in my Agents of Shield display. Not much to say about them other than the fact that I do have a couple of these now. I'm trying to look. I think this might be the second one that I did, because I don't see the rust-colored sort of battle damage that I gave it. I think that one is on one of the 2012 Commander Rogers figures that I have, the older one with the kind of janky body and the ball-jointed hips. I do like the Steve Rogers head sculpt on that one. And I have two of them. Yeah, that's right. That the other shield that I painted. So this is the second prototype shield, the second Stan Lee shield that I fixed for Marvel Legends because they screwed it up by putting Stan Lee's autograph on it. Yeah, the other one is in my G.I. Joe classified display with the Commander Rogers, the two Commander Rogers, because just look at the outfit. That works pretty well with G.I. Joe classified too, and I clearly have a lot of them. But this is the one that counts, and you can tell because he actually has the shoulder harness. All the others are just ones that I harvested the shoulder harness from, and these three here, I basically. So these are all MCU Chris Evans unmasked head sculpts. I think I like the one in the middle the best. I think I like the one on the left second best. And I think I like this one the least. You be the judge. I think this one, maybe the one on the left here, actually looks more like Chris Evans. See, the problem is with Chris Evans, his facial features, I think, are hard to kind of capture. I don't know that any of these three, and I think these are their three best efforts. There have been many worse than this, but these are the three that are at least good enough to use. But their MCU heads on comic bodies, and the peg hole and the peg size of the neck peg do not match. So I heated the heads up, and then to expand, or at least give some elasticity to the peg hole, and then I plopped them on these extra Commander Rogers bodies that I had. So it's basically the whole reason why these guys are all here is just to keep the peg hole expanded on these heads in case I decide to do something better with them later. And then in the meantime, I gave the two of them the broken Secret Wars shields. And I guess the indicator that the one in the middle is the one that I like the best, the head sculpt, is that I gave him the Stealth Captain America shield, because it's a great looking shield. I wish it was not the MCU shield. I would love a comic version of this shield in these colors. I absolutely adore the way that sort of almost tealish blue interacts with the silver. My God, whoever was responsible for the creation of that shield, man. Just a thing of beauty. But yeah, that's why these three guys are here, basically to keep those peg holes the size that I want them to be in case I find a better figure to plop them onto at some point in the future. And they sit way in the back of my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. display. And I guess in my headcanon, I guess they're life model decoys, LMDs of Captain America. And that's why they don't have, the the hand-painted custom shield. This guy is another one that I'm not that wild about, but I have the body, I have the head. The head is the Reese head from the Skull Crusher figure, the X-Men Reavers. Reese is a Reaver. All they ever gave us was his head, though. As you can see, it was just an extra pack in with Skull Crusher. You could either buy two Skull Crushers and put this head on one of them and have two Skull Crushers in that manner. I never realized that this guy had loose feet. All these guys want to fall down as soon as I touch them. Stand up straight, soldier. Um, so I had him. I had this. I forget what body I even had it on, but I was using it as Reese in my X-Men Reavers display, and I needed room on that shelf. And I don't really care about the Reavers all that much, other than the Skull Crusher figure. I mean, I have Bone Breaker and I have Lady Deathstrike. But, the Reavers, it's not a story that I'm nostalgic about or have ever even read all the way through, because I just don't really care all that much. There's not a whole lot of X-Men villains that get me excited once you get past the level of, like, Magneto. But, and this is another one that sits at the back of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shelf, and that's the bottom shelf, so I hardly ever see these guys when they're at the back of that shelf, because I really have to get down there to see them, and they're hard to deal with because it's at a weird angle, and I knocked a couple people over just pulling these out for you. I did that for you. You're welcome. But I was thinking the Reese head on this body kind of makes an interesting, maybe alternate future dystopian. Well, dystopia is now. It's not really an alternate future, but it's a nicely sculpted helmet, and I thought it would make a nice maybe cyborg Steve Rogers was my thinking. Maybe he came back to the current day to try to prevent the dystopia in which we all find ourselves struggling to survive. Yeah, those are all the Commander Rogers bodies that I'm even going to bother talking about. There's a couple more at the back of that shelf. Like there's one with the head from the captain, but it's not the serious dour. Oh, there goes some people. Okay, I think I managed to stem the tide before it got too bad. I got time, right? Are you in a hurry? You need to get somewhere? I'm just gonna pick these. Don't you fall over, Thor. I mean, you're the one guy I should be able to count on. All right, I'm just gonna pick some of these guys back up here. It was a gentle fall where they all just kind of rest against each other. See, that's the kind of fall I don't like, where they just slide down and land flat on their backs. But again, you got to take pity on these guys because they're living with 12 times the gravity that we are. Did a video about that. How that's why you got to be a little more careful with their feet. Keep them nice and tight with some Kiki's loose joint fix. And look at the basketball guys. What are they doing here? They used to be out in the hall. I was gonna talk about them a little at some point, and maybe I will. But anyway, this finally. Let's take a look at this guy. So this is the MCU Captain America that came in the 2-pack that had the Steve Rogers Captain America and the Sam Wilson Captain America. That came out, I don't know, 3 years ago or so. And I was kind of on the fence about it, but it had a really good Steve Rogers head sculpt. And here's the irony. I think it was that one, but it could have been any one of these three. But I think it was that one. I'm 80% sure it was that one, but it might have been this one here, the one in the middle. I don't think it was that one, but I don't know. And when you have an action figure obsession, sometimes your focus is not where it should be. You probably haven't noticed that because these videos are so focused and disciplined, but sometimes your focus isn't where it should be. I haven't always kept track of what goes with what, so I've got a lot of accessories where I'm like, oh, which one of these heads came with this Captain America? Hell if I know. But this is actually a repaint of the Worthy Captain America that was a Walmart exclusive at the same time that Avengers Endgame was in theaters. And it did not come with Mjolnir, the hammer that he's wielding in his right hand. However, the original Worthy Cap did. It was hidden in the box, and if you were collecting figures at the time, you'll remember the excitement. Because you'd see the Captain America in the store there in Walmart, and I found two at a way upstate rural New York Walmart, and threw them right in the shopping cart. My wife is like, "Why do you need two of those?" And I just had a feeling there was something special about it. It was a big deal, and they weren't calling it Worthy Captain America. They were calling it Power and Glory Captain America, because they didn't want to spoil the fact that at the end of Avengers Endgame, spoilers, uh, Steve Rogers actually wields Mjolnir in the final battle, which of course is the biggest moment in the movie, maybe the biggest moment in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when he, because we had that hint in Age of Ultron that maybe he could have picked up the hammer in the party scene, but he chose not to preserve Thor's dignity or whatever, his ego. Um, Again, the best scene in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So the two of the best scenes in all of the MCU involve Steve Rogers and Mjolnir, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't know if they were planning that when they did the party scene. Those movies are pretty far apart in time, but yeah, the exciting thing about the original Worthy Cap, the Power and Glory Captain America, as they called it, was that when you bought it and you opened it up, if you didn't know, you got a nice little surprise because the hammer was hidden, I think, behind the shield in the box. And again, this is not that Worthy Cap figure, but it is a complete repaint with, I think, a brighter blue of the Worthy Cap, and it's got a good masked Chris Evans head sculpt. I can definitely see it. I think it's the best masked Chris Evans head sculpt. I think it looks like him. But the heartbreaking thing for me, and it was a long time coming before I really realized the difference in scale when I first started getting back into Marvel Legends between the comic book figures and the movie figures. But the Commander Rogers comic book figure on the right, I'm playing fair here, folks. It's just your stock Commander Rogers body with a different head, but the head is the same size as the one that was on it before. It's just a better head. The difference in size. This is supposed to be Captain America, the Power and Glory Captain America, and he looks like he's a comic book Captain America's teenage son, right? So that's the thing that I hate about the difference in scale. Having grown up on Migos, I really like all my toys to be able to interact with each other and look good in a display together. And what breaks my heart about this, because the articulation isn't the greatest on this, but the main thing is just that it's the best Steve Rogers movie Captain America figure, either the Power and Glory Walmart exclusive version or this repaint. Either one is great. I did give him a Mjolnir because he still came with the hammer holding hand, but he didn't come with the hammer with the repaint with the 2-pack with Falcon, or Sam Wilson Captain America, I should say, which is where this particular figure came from. I don't actually have the original Power and Glory Marvel Legends one that was a Walmart exclusive. Sold those off in the last big purge. But when I spotted this at that, it was in Plattsburgh, New York, near the Canadian border, that 2-pack with the Sam Wilson Captain America, which I guess I didn't keep either. I have two Sam Wilsons up here, but they're both comic book, and they're just hanging out up here because, well, he's on top of Captain America, kind of ironically. But the wingspan just makes it difficult. I'm trying to figure out a way to, maybe I need more string. Yeah. But if you did get that 2-pack, and you can give him a hammer, you can have your worthy Captain America. The problem is, what do you do with him? And one thing that I did do with him at one point was put him in a little display of like, what if the invaders were in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? So I put him with a retro Human Torch, who could be a stand-in for the Jim Hammond World War II Human Torch, the android, the original Human Torch. And that's okay if the android Human Torch is a little taller than Captain America. And then a Union Jack who was in the Invaders. So if it was an MCU Invaders, that would have worked. And that's on the Bucky Cap body, so that's pretty short, so that works. And then Prince Namor, the Submariner. The movie one is about as short as this Captain America. I think I used the movie one for that idea. I broke up that display for some reason, but maybe I should get those guys back together and do another video about that. Maybe I will. We're coming up in a half hour here, so I just want to wrap it up. Uh, I love this figure for itself. I think it looks great. It again, it breaks my heart that it's so short. The scale of it. I'm not a fan of the true 1/12 scale because I am a fan of the comic Marvel Legends. As many flaws as they have, but it is what it is. I do have my own. Oh, you know what? For once, I'm thinking of something before I stop recording. So, I know I would have regretted it when I realized this later on that I didn't show you this. Well, all right. So, I can give you or show you. I'm not giving it to you. I'm not even selling them to you. But my comic worthy cap with Mjolnir, that is on the Secret Wars cap. And he's got that big shit-eating grin because, he's worthy to hold the shield. I'm okay with that. I got so many Captain Americas that I'm okay with. I'm okay with having that shit-eating grin Captain America face holding up the hammer. And then, so basically the idea is the same. It's the worthy Captain America for the movies, worthy Captain America for the comics. And when it comes to height, only one of them is worthy. But we'll put him over here, put him back. In a way, see, if he was the same height as the rest of them, he'd be the centerpiece of one of the centerpieces of my entire collection. As it is, oh, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. The scale of the MCU Avengers figures. It's all over the map. I mean, you have some Iron Men in the MCU line that are as tall as any comic book Iron Man, which I guess they justify because he's in a suit of armor, and they kind of downplay that with the comic versions because the comic Iron Men are usually about the same height as a regular figure, maybe slightly like a centimeter taller or whatever to make up for it. But also, my comic worthy cap, I did have a lightning effect on. Well, I guess that works. I just sort of plopped it on there. Usually I wrap it around, but maybe it's better to just do it that way. So he's riding the lightning, folks. Riding the lightning. So this has been a look at some of my sort of B and C list Captain Americas and Steve Rogers in my collection. It's not the 80 years or the 20 years or the Secret Wars, although this one is, but he was a special guest star that I threw in at the end because I remembered that I have both worthy caps right here on the table at the same time, and it's oftentimes I do have stuff that I should have showed you, and then I realize it as soon as I stop recording, and it's like, no! But there it is. If you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, thumbs down, please. I'm begging you. Tell me you hated it. I'd like to know. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell when you subscribe so that you get notified about future videos like this. And, share it with your friends. Who doesn't have a friend that loves Captain America? You must have a friend that loves Captain America. Whether it's the future dystopia Captain America or the we're just here to keep these peg holes open Captain America, or the movie-worthy Captain America, or the comic-worthy Captain. Well, I made my own. You'll have to make your own, I guess. Okay, yeah, these three are my favorite right here. So, even, this one's troublesome and imperfect because of the scale, but you can't fault the head sculpt. There's Chris Evans. Look at his dreamy eyes. Look at him. Look at him. Yeah, no knives out here. Just nothing but heart. Nothing but heart, baby. He does it for the dream. And my comic Commander Rogers and my, comic-worthy Captain America riding the lightning, wielding Mjolnir. Yeah, so I guess we go from worst to best as we sweep across here. I hadn't thought about that, but maybe it was subconscious. That'll do it for this edition of Action Figure Obsession, Captain America Obsession, the obsession that never dies. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for spending a half hour with me. I do appreciate it, and I will see you on the next Action Figure Obsession.